Mrs. Esquire,
Yes.
if you will come with me, I'll lead you to our conference area and we can get started with your son's IEP meeting.
Okay.
Come on in. This is Miss Johnson. She is your son's math teacher.
Hello.
And this is Mr. Atkins, our principal.
Hi.
And I know that this is all a fairly new process for you, being only your son's second year in special education. So last year, the meeting you had was the formal diagnosis of your son. And then yearly, we have what we refer to as annual reviews, where we're meeting today to discuss his progress towards his goals. And basically, it's a short meeting that just basically allows you to provide input and give us some feedback on what you see at home and to judge whether or not the goals that we have set for him are reasonable and he's going to be able to reach those.
Okay.
Yearly, we have to provide you with a copy of your parental rights, and that's what I've just given to you. If you don't need that, or if you have other copies at home, I'll gladly keep that and we can reuse it and save some trees. All right. What was done for this meeting is your son went through a series of informal, norm-referenced, and curriculum-based measures to evaluate his progress. The first informal assessment was a map of the United States, and being his social studies teacher, I chose that just to see whether he understood the world in which he lives. And he was only able to correctly label 2 of the states. He did label 5 others. They were states, but they were not in the proper location. So that's something that we're going to continue to work on and break it down by region to help him learn the area of the world in which he lives. Also did some informal testing in math just to see what he was able to do. General math skills, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Addition and subtraction he does pretty well in, single digit versus single digit. Multiplication and division are going to be something that we're going to have to continue to work on. The other informal assessment was in reading. I just really wanted to test him to see if he's given a passage and he reads it, how much of it does he remember. And not a real surprise that in all of these tests he was well below grade level, but he does show progress, and I definitely think that there's room for improvement if we continue to work on those. His norm-referenced test that we did, and our district uses this, it's called the iReady diagnostic, and iReady is a math or reading program. This was his math test, and as you can see by the chart here, this gray area is his score, and this would be grade level for him, and he was at 402, and grade level for him would be 495 or higher. So he's below grade level, and this breaks it down into what he's good at and what he's not good at and allows him to work at his own pace. It's a computer-based program, so we can continue to have him work on his math skills. And doing this iReady program, it's been shown that if he can average 45 minutes a week on this program, that we can add a grade level per school year. So that's promising there. His curriculum-based measures, and what these are tests that are done to just generally judge progress, and one of his goals for this year was in 2-digit addition. And normally for a goal to be successfully completed, we would like him to score 80% or higher 4 out of 5 testing opportunities. And as you can see by this chart here, there were 3 times out of the 6 that he was given that he did score over 80%, but there were 3 attempts where he barely scored 75%. So this skill is something that he understands, and we just would like to see him show more consistency with it. One of the things that I need to express is that when we test, there are a number of things that can affect the results of the test. Your son is a very bright individual, and one test score on one day does not reflect exactly what he's capable of doing, which is why we try to test on multiple occasions. And I've brought the tests themselves for you to take a look at. You can see the first test, he scored a 75%. Second test was a 92%, and then he went back down to 75%. And these were only 3 consecutive weeks. And I looked through the tests themselves to see if there was some kind of pattern. Was he missing the same number sets, the same problem over and over? But he never missed the same question more than twice through the series of tests. So, again, a number of factors could affect how he scores on a test. So, one test really doesn't tell us a lot, but when we see results like this where we can get an average, we're seeing improvement. Now we just got to make sure that the consistency is there. All right. Some strengths about your son, Bill. He's got great attendance. He's missed 1 day so far this semester. He's well behaved in class. Reports that I'm getting back from all the teachers say pretty much the same thing, that he's a pleasure to have in class. And from working with him, I can see that he has a desire to learn. And that, is going to be very helpful to him in the future. Some negatives, some drawbacks that we need to overcome with him. He's easily distractible. That shouldn't surprise you with his diagnosis that, having ADHD, it's a struggle to focus. He tends to rush. He's very competitive, and if other students around him are finishing ahead of him, he wants to rush and get done and get caught up with them. And beyond his diagnosis of ADHD, he does also have some memory issues. Getting that transition from short-term to long-term memory seems to be a struggle for him. So he needs to be exposed to new material often before it finally grabs hold. But once we get to that point, he tends to retain that information very easily. With that in mind, goals for this next year that I would like to see us work on. Short-term goal for math, I would like to see him increase his minutes on iReady. We have the time available for 45 minutes 5 times a week, so there's plenty of time that he can be working, and right now he's averaging just at 45 minutes a week. So we need to see him increase his minutes there so we can increase the effectiveness of the program. Short-term reading goal, I would like to see him increase his minutes per week that he's reading on his own. That's one of the things that you can help with at home for him, is to make sure that he has materials that, one, he's interested in and will read, and that he is actually reading. Long-term goals. Over this next IEP year, I want to increase his consistency in his 2x2 addition, and to expand on this and to move into some single-digit multiplication problems. Really, multiplication is addition. It's just in a different process, and there are things that we can work with him on to help him understand that process. Long-term reading goal, we'd also like to see him increase his fluency. His words per minute are not at grade level at this point, and reading is one of those things that will only improve as he reads. So the more he reads, the better he's going to become. And comprehension. Like I said, we have those memory issues moving from short-term to long-term memory. It is possible that we may reach a plateau where we've seen all he's capable of doing, but I don't think we're at that point yet. And one of the things that I would like to do is test him periodically throughout this next school year and give him different opportunities to see a passage multiple times and see how that affects his comprehension scores when I test him. What you can help us with at home, like I mentioned earlier, is making sure that he is reading, and to track what he's reading, make sure what he's reading is things that he's interested in. I know when I've tested him, if the passage is something that he likes, he scores very well. If it's something that he struggles to finish because he's not interested in it, then he doesn't score as well as he could. Do you have any concerns at this point for what we've done so far for your son?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, because there is room in the IEP for parental concerns. Mr. Atkins, Ms. Johnson, there anything you'd like to add?
There's nothing.
Okay, I told you that the annual review meetings are fairly short. Now all we need to do is have me print up the signature sheet for all of those that were present, and we can sign that and we'll be done with our meeting.
Okay,
Thank you for coming.
thanks.